Hey class, I'm Mr. Thornton. You've got 22 days until May, and I'm going to help you succeed in your GCSEs. This lesson, flashcards. As you're making revision notes, and please see my video on that if you haven't already, but as you're making those notes, you'll find that there are really two sorts of bits of information which you're going to have on there. Some bits are going to be fairly intuitive and fairly obvious to you, and you just needed your memory jogged a little bit to remember those. And you won't really need to do much more with them. Once you've gone over it again, you'll just need to occasionally look at those notes, and that'll be fine. There'll be other bits though, where there are facts which you have to learn. Simple bits of information which you're expected to know off by heart. And flashcards are ideal for that. The first thing you're going to need is some cards. A lot of people will use index cards, or those types of cards which people use when they're trying to remember their lines in a speech. And you can find those at all sorts of different stationers, and you can also get them online quite cheaply. I went a slightly different route, and I went to a supermarket and I got a load of coloured pieces of card. These are way too big to use, so what I've done is chop each of these A4 sheets up into 8 smaller pieces. They're about playing card size, and those are now ideal. So there were 8 sheets in here. This cost £1.50. Chopping each of those 8 sheets up into 8 gives me 64 cards in total. Or if you've got something where there's a lot less that you need to learn, but you need more cards, then you could make them smaller than this. It's up to you. I suggest you make these cards as you're writing your notes, rather than trying to go through the notes afterwards. So you'll need to make sure that you've got some cards first, but it'll be a lot simpler if you're making them as you go along. And what you're going to do on these is you're going to write a question on one side and the answer on the other side. So for example, I've got one here which says, if a hydrocarbon has 3 carbon atoms, what does its name begin with? Now I don't know if you can see that on this camera, but if I go to the other camera and hold it a bit closer, hopefully you can see that I've got an answer on the other side of this card. So there's question on one side and the answer is probe. Let's have a look at another one. What is the main compound found in limestone? And again, you should be able to see that I've got the answer on the other side of this card. In this case, the answer is calcium carbonate, or CaCO3. Now in any subject which you sit in an exam for, there's probably going to be facts and figures and details which you need to learn off by heart like this. So these cards can be useful for a range of different subjects. But where I think they're probably the most useful is the subjects where you have the most stuff to learn by rote, particularly languages. In languages, you've got a huge amount of vocabulary which you've got to learn, and you've also got questions with answers which you've got to learn as well. So for languages in particular, they are very useful, and I strongly recommend them. Here, for example, is a stack of flashcards which I made some time ago, and these are for learning Japanese. On one side, they have a Japanese character, and then on the other side, they have the Roman alphabet version of what that character says. So this one, for example, means ka. There's another one here, and I think that either means she or tsu. Let's have a look. Oh, tsu. They're two quite similar characters. I've switched to a different colour here for this one because this is from a slightly different character set. They're still Japanese characters. I think this one is no. It is no. And then yet another colour here, and this is a significantly different thing. This isn't for a vowel sound in Japanese. This is for a concept or a word. In this case, I think it's the number 4. It is the number 4. So we've got a range of different things there, and so for different topics within this, I've used different colours to help me remember. There's over 100 cards here, and I don't recommend you start out with that many. Start out with about 10 and add a few more at a time, an extra 5 a day, and you'll find that you get up to that maximum pretty quickly. So I ended up learning all of these. I've got quite rusty nowadays, but I ended up learning every single one of these off by heart just by adding a few more and a few more and a few more until I knew them all. I haven't really used these for quite a while though, and there is a brilliant reason why I haven't used them for quite a while, and that is there are now lots of flashcard apps as well. There are loads of them which are available for free, so there are plenty which are useful for learning Japanese characters, but there are lots which are useful for learning everything else as well. There are tons of apps out there which let you put flashcard information in, or they already have pre-prepared flashcards for you. It's a relatively simple type of app to write, and so there are loads of them on pretty much every app store. Have a look around and I'm sure you'll be able to find a free one for any subject which you're struggling with, but again, particularly languages, because they are so useful for languages. Finally, there's two other ways to use flashcards other than reading the question and then checking the answer. Firstly, what you can do is the same sort of thing that they do on the American TV show Jeopardy! Turn the card around, read what the answer is, and try and remember what the question was instead. It's a good way to mix things up if you're getting a bit bored or if you've got used to them. And secondly, they are a really good way to allow someone else to test you. Give them to a friend or a family member, and then they've got the question there and they can check your answer. Just make sure that they cover up the answer with their hand. I'm going to be talking more about how you can get other people involved in your revision in the next video. I hope that video really helped you. If it did, it really helps my channel when you like, subscribe and share these videos. Let people know I'm going to succeed in my GCSE. All the links and info for this video are in the description, and please let me know what you thought in the comments or on Twitter at Mr. Thornton UK, or use the hashtag #SucceedInMyGCSE. There are loads more GCSE Science videos on my channel too. Here's another one which YouTube thinks you might find useful. You can click my picture just here to subscribe, click down there to check how well you understood with the Snap Quiz website and app, and you can click just here to get my revision guides. Good luck in your GCSEs everyone, and thanks very much for watching.